Hi, Mr. Guy.
Hi, Miss Lauren. Hi, Miss Abby.
Abby or Oriana says she's gonna be here, but she's doing math.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
Don't believe you.
Okay, you don't have to believe me, best friend.
Yeah.
Best friends believe each other.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
So, do you feel confident with your econ there, Abby?
It's like slowly coming back to me.
Good.
I don't know.
Good.
Slay, Abby.
Mr. Guy, I have bad news.
What's your bad news?
I forgot to pay for the Gov test, and I just found out days ago.
Wow.
It's because you have so much longer to pay for it. So I guess fall me was like, oh, I'll pay for it in the spring. And then spring me was like, oh, I paid for it in the fall.
Abby, you poopy head.
Oh my goodness.
Which sucks because if I had a choice to not take one test, it would have been the econ test.
I agree with you. I agree. You've learned it. You've done it. I know. Come here. Come here. Say hi to them. As we're
Is it
waiting.
exploding cat?
Nope.
What the heck?
No.
Hi, cat. Hi, DC. Hi, lacrosse.
This is Loki.
Loki. Hi, Loki.
He's our newest one. He's got blue eyes and gray eyes or green eyes.
Whoa.
Yep. He's
What a baddie.
He's my one that has a heart problem. So I have to give him 4 pills every morning and afternoon.
Oh my gosh.
So I guess we got him, gosh, I don't even know when. My son took him to the vet and have the pills, and they said he'd probably be lucky to live 6 months. And we probably had him for, he's been alive for probably 18 months now. So
is he your favorite cat?
Probably just because he's so sweet. He's got a great demeanor. Really cute cat, really laid back. Roxy loves me but hates being touched. And whenever you touch her, she like runs away. And she's the empathetic cat that takes care of everybody else.
Oh.
Exploding cat was an issue and had a problem until she had all the surgeries. Now she's a love and a doll, but she's just exploded.
How much does she weigh now?
Oh God, she's probably 25, 30
Oh my God.
Hurley is the one that should be an only child. Hurley demands attention all the time and must be at the center of it. He weighs about 20 pounds and he wants to get on your shoulder or on your chest, and he thinks he's a kitten and he doesn't weigh that much, and he just purrs, and he actually headbutts me all the time. And
he's bullying you.
He talks. Yep. And then let's see, that's Hurley, Loki, Lakai, Roxy, then DC and Path are the dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And they basically, they miss, being with, they love having us home all the time.
I know. I bet all the pets in the world are just so happy.
No, I actually saw articles that they're not happy.
Oh, how do they know?
Well, more dog abuse.
Ooh.
More, kind of nasty stuff going on out there. There's more cases of, domestic violence and stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People suck.
Yep, they do. Right? So do we want to get started?
Yeah, let's start the party.
Start the party.
Mr. Guy, are you getting ice cream on Sunday? I got you vegan ice cream.
I don't know. Should I really go and drive all that way to do that?
I got you ice cream and a gift.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. A gift, too. I don't deserve that. I shouldn't go.
What am I supposed to do with it?
Okay. So do you see the screen?
No, I see your face.
You see my face?
Yeah.
Okay. Bummer. Bummer. Bummer.
Dang it, Mr. Guy.
Bummer. It says share the screen. Share the screen. Share the screen.
Now I see
Share
it.
the screen. There we go. Share the screen. So, share the screen. So, what are the 3 goals of all economies? Lauren, this one's yours.
Oh, produce stuff. Make money and full employment.
So 1 out of 3 ain't bad. So full employment, low prices or
Low
stable
prices.
prices, and that word that we all love, the one of the most important statistics numbers that we ever have. What do we want to go up?
GDP.
Yes, economic growth.
I said all of those basically.
You did in Lauren words. So
Yeah.
what is the natural rate of unemployment, Abby?
Isn't that like the it's like one minus the other, but I forgot what the two words were.
Well, give me, what's the percent? Let's try that.
Oh, like 3 to 6 or something?
4 to 6%. Typically, we say about 5%. We can't get under 5. I mean, we typically can't get rid of unemployment. You can't go to 0. And why can't you go to 0?
Impossible.
Yeah.
Why?
Because then it can't happen.
So you can't get rid of, so natural rate is the frictional rate plus the structural rate. Does not include cyclical. So the
Correct.
natural rate of unemployment is the number of people that stop and start because of they just quit or they get fired, and then the structural changes in the economy. So the natural rate is those two. It is not cyclical. Okay? So it doesn't change by any monetary or fiscal policy. It changes maybe if we decide that it's higher or lower. So if we had 10 years of 3% unemployment, maybe that would be natural rate. Maybe they'd lower it a little bit. I think Andrew Yang's probably right. It's probably going to be higher in the future because we're going to have more robots, more automation, so more people have a hard time finding jobs. What is the inflation rate, Lauren?
It's the rate of inflation.
Okay, now tell me what that means.
It means it's how much money is inflated. I don't know how much the price has gone up.
That's what it is. It's how much prices have gone up. So it's an increase. So it's an increase in average prices. Some prices go up, some go down, but overall more of them go up. What's a market basket, Abby?
A market basket. Not sure.
Lauren?
It's with all the stuff on the market being sold. It's the 300 things
That's
that they're
correct.
like, this is it.
300 of the most commonly purchased items. And it's what we use to measure the CPI and inflation. So we check prices every month on these 300 items and see, did they go up, to go down? So Lauren, what's the difference between nominal and real interest rate?
Isn't nominal without inflation and real is?
That's correct. So real is adjusted for inflation, nominal is not. It's just the actual number. So typically the nominal interest rate would be 15%. If inflation is 5%, the real would be 15 minus 5 would be 10%. So the real is just for the inflation. How do you calculate CPI?
What is CPI again? What does that stand for?
Consumer Price Index.
Yeah.
I don't remember either.
Well, you get your market basket.
Yeah.
You then go and calculate the numbers, and then you have to compare it. So basically, we're calculating it by getting the, let's see if we even did it. So you might have a market basket of 300 commonly purchased items. We compare it to another year, a different time. So then we calculate inflation. And also we actually in class did calculate a market basket. So if you had two products and one product was a truck and another product was an apple, so we take, the prices in the market basket, and then we get a price for it, and we create a number, and then we compare it to next year. What's the price of the truck? What's the price of the apple? How does it compare to the other time? So basically, we get a market basket, we go survey the prices, and then they create this number. Now, typically, the base year is 100, and then all of the other years can be higher or lower than that. So in the next question is, what would a CPI of 130 mean?
Wouldn't it just be the difference in the price from one year to the next?
What if the base year is 100,
Oh, it increased by 30.
30,
Oh,
30%.
dumb.
So it just means that prices have gone up 30%.
We're never going to have to calculate a CPI, right? That's like a...
No, you might have to calculate inflation, so have that formula there, or increase or decrease, but no, you would not actually be calculating a CPI. I don't think there's going to be enough time to do one of these questions. It's going to be more theoretical in answering what to do.
Okay.
Who is helped and hurt by inflation?
Borrowers are helped.
Right. And then who else is helped?
Yes.
Hold on. If I think about it, maybe it'll come.
Businesses that anticipate inflation quicker and faster than it actually happens. So it really doesn't happen. To me, it's really borrowers, but businesses that anticipate inflation. Who's hurt by inflation?
Creditors, old people living on fixed income.
People paying a fixed rent.
Yeah.
Workers, savers, investors, consumers. So a lot of people are hurt by inflation. Okay? So assume an open economy with a public sector, that means government. What are two ways of calculating GDP for this economy?
Shoot. Add up all the market basket? No?
So what are two ways to calculate GDP?
Oh. Isn't it like exports minus imports or something?
No?
Okay, then I don't know.
The CGIXism, that thing.
So that is the expenditures approach. That is how much we spend. So that's one method of calculating GDP, C plus I plus G plus NX. What's the other method for calculating GDP?
I don't know.
You add up all of the income.
Oh.
Add up everybody's income. So you add up the rents paid, you add up the dividends and stocks, values, you add up wages, you add up profits, you add up all of the things in the economy, and then you get GDP. Now, it says explain why the two methods you identified in A must yield the same amount of gross domestic product.
But you can't have two different values for GDP. I mean, like if you're looking at the whole thing, it can't be two completely different numbers, right?
But why would the income, well, I mean, I'm going to give you the answer, but if you're at one way is the income method and the other way is the expenditure method, why did they give you the same dollar amount?
Because they're spending their money. I don't know. I don't remember econ, Mr. Guy. I'm trying to brain blast.
Kind of
We just went over it yesterday.
I know, but I missed half of it.
For every dollar that you spend is income to somebody else. So if I've always said, if I go to McDonald's and spend $1, it's spending to me, but it's McDonald's income. So if we add up all the expending, it is really another way of saying this is everybody's income. So they are equivalent. They're same dollar amount. For every dollar that we spend is income to somebody else. So a lot of people hate government spending because they think it's evil and bad, but realize it's income to teachers, it's income to firefighters, it's income to the contractors that are selling stuff to the government, and so on like that. So the two methods are income and expenditures, and they are the same amount because in the economy, income equals expenses. So identify one shortcoming of using GDP as an indicator of the actual level of national output.
Because it ignores some of the other things in the economy.
You're
right?
going to have to be a little bit more specific.
Like people doing like under the table jobs or whatever, buying used stuff.
Buying used stuff, underground economy, housewives, dreaded babysitters, used products not included, another shortcoming that we went over yesterday, and we have, but GDP includes, bombs, napalm, prisons, locks for windows and stuff like that, jails, police. If we have a national disaster like a hurricane, the hurricane destroys an area. Well, when you rebuild that, that's included in GDP. So there's lots of shortcomings of this number. So if nominal GDP goes up 4%, what 2 additional pieces of information do you need before you conclude that the standard of living increased by 4%? So what would you need?
Wait, can you repeat that?
If nominal GDP goes up 4%, what 2 pieces of information, additional information, do you need before you can conclude that the living standard of the typical person increased by 4% during that year?
I vaguely remember this. Isn't it like?
Well, what is the standard of living?
Isn't it just the GDP? Or wait.
GDP per capita or something?
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's GDP per capita. What does per capita mean?
Per person?
Per person. And what type of GDP? Is it nominal or real?
Real?
So it's real GDP per person. So if nominal goes up 4% and you're trying to find out, did standard of living go up 4%, what 2 different pieces of information do you need?
How many people there are?
Good, that's 1. What's the next thing? You're trying to go from nominal to real. What do you need to know?
Interest rate?
Close.
Or
It's
inflation?
not. Inflation rate. So you need to know the population, and then you need to know the inflation rate.
Okay.
So this one had no math. Okay? Had 0 math, but this is a question that could be asked.
Do you think it'll be more math or more like analysis?
Analysis.
Okay.
So here, Gala land produces 3 final goods: bread, water, and fruit. This shows their output for each good. Now, calculate this year's nominal GDP. Okay? So what would you do? Explain it to me.
Wouldn't you just multiply? Actually, I'm gonna sound stupid, but I'm gonna go
No,
for
you're
it.
doing fine. Go ahead and do it.
Okay,
You multiply what?
400 by 6, 1,000 by 2, 800 by 2, and then multiply or add that all together.
Correct. That is nominal. That's perfectly what you do. Okay?
Amazing.
Now it says Gala land has a price deflator. The GDP index is 100 in the base year. It's 150 this year. Now it says calculate the inflation rate between the base year and this year. Okay? In this one, you don't even need a calculator. What is the answer? 150 versus 100. It's 50%. You don't need a calculator.
I think it's
150 minus 100 over 100 times 100 equals 50.
It's a bit of complicated math there, Mr. Guy.
Yeah, right. Okay. So just look, it's there. Now you need to calculate this year's real GDP. When we add up all of these, and I trust that you have a calculator and you could do it, it comes to $6,000.
Okay.
Okay. So it asked us to calculate the real GDP. When we did it right. It came out to $4,000, and that's how it comes. So it's 4,000. Okay.
That's the real GDP?
Correct.
Then what's the difference between the real and the nominal? Because isn't the nominal
6. Nominal is all of these added up.
Okay.
And then using the deflator of 150, we then calculate what the real GDP is. It's 4,000.
So you multiply that by like 1.5?
Basically, what I normally do is take the 6,000 times 150 divided by 150. There's that formula that we have.
Oh.
And we went through these numbers.
Okay.
So always have these with you. So have your cheat sheet. And then when it says, okay, calculate it, you can go ahead and calculate what the real is and what the nominal is and just input those. This was one of our homework problems that we had. So this is one that we did. So this is 4,000. And let's go back, sorry. So since the base year, workers received a 20% increase in their wages. If workers face the same inflation rate as up here, what happened to their real wages? So if they got a 20% raise, but inflation is 50%, what happened to their real wages? Lauren?
Oh no, I don't know.
They went down by like 50%?
Down.
They went down, but how much did they go down by?
I don't know, 30%? I can't do math.
That's correct.
Oh.
30%. They had a 20% raise, but inflation was 50%. So they actually lost 30%.
That's so sad.
That sucks.
It is. Okay. If the GDP deflator in Gala land increases unexpectedly, would a borrower with a fixed loan rate be better off, worse off, and explain? So you realize borrowers are what?
Helped.
They're helped. They're the only one that are helped. And then you say why. They pay the loan back with cheaper and cheaper dollars as they keep going. So I don't know if you're gonna have to do a problem like this, but I just wanted you to have it because you guys asked to do an example like this. So I wanted to do it just in case. This is a fairly simple one, but then, like you just walked yourself through it. If you're not sure, can you get the 4,000? Go ahead and try and play with it. If you don't understand how you got the negative 30%, go ahead and look and see, 20 to minus 50 equals negative 30. And just try to go through this in your head so you can understand it. Now, here's another one. You have 2009 quantity, 2010 quantity. So you got price times quantity. Looks a little bit different. So it says the outputs and prices of goods and services in country X are shown in the table above. Assuming 2000 is the 9 is the base year, calculate each of the following. So how would you calculate nominal GDP in 2010?
Don't you just take the quantity times the price?
Mm-hmm. Quantity times the price. And it's 2010 quantity, 2010 price, and you're doing that. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, real GDP in 2010. How would you do that? What prices would you use?
Would you use wouldn't you have to go with the 10 and the 6 to find the inflation or whatever? Or the interest? I don't know.
Wouldn't you find like the inflation between 2009 and 2010?
Read A.
Oh.
So how would you calculate real GDP?
I don't know.
You take 2009 prices, because that says it's the base year, and you use 2010 quantity.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay.
So you keep these the same. These prices you do differently. So you're going to use 250 instead of that. You're going to use 6 instead of 10. You're going to use 4 instead of 5. And you use the same quantities to figure out it's higher or lower.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
I remember that now. Or brain blasting.
Yep, that's the whole idea. If in 1 year the price index is 50, in the next year it's 55, what is the inflation rate from one year to the next? Now, this is where your handy dandy, calculator in the formula is year 2 minus year 1 over year 1 divided times 100. It's always the same. So in this case, I would say year 2 is always the closest. So to me, it would be 55 minus 50 divided by 50 times 100. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so it'd be 10.
55 minus 50 divided by 50 times 100. Lauren is amazing. It's 10.
Oh my gosh, guys, I'm doing math.
Okay, you did math and you got it right.
Oh my gosh, this never happens.
Assume that next year's wage rate will be 3% higher than this year's because of inflationary expectations. The actual inflation rate is 4%. At the beginning of the year, will the real wage be higher, lower, the same as today?
Lower. Higher.
Higher.
Ariana, what do you think?
I don't know. My brain's all mush right now, so I'm trying to figure stuff out because I just got done doing calculus. So
Higher. Lower. Same. Lower.
I say higher because
Then
that
what?
inflation rate is higher than what they expect.
Well, realize our actual is 4%, but people are going to expect it's going to be what? 7%. Right?
Why would they expect 7?
Because they're dumb.
Next year's wage rate. Well, the wage rate will be 3% higher than this year's wage rate because of inflation.
Mhm.
So wages are going to be 3% higher because we're expecting what it's going to be. So we're expecting 3% higher in wages. So let's just say I'm going to give everybody 5% wage, 5% increase. So I give everybody a 5%. Now, if we expect 3% more, what is our wages going to be at the end of next year?
Lower?
Well, I'm just trying to give you a number with it.
I don't
So
know.
if I say your normal wage rate, the normal increase is 5, but because it's going to be 3% higher because of inflation, what will it be at the beginning of next year? It would be 8%, correct?
C.
So 5% plus 3 would be the 8.
Yes.
Okay?
Mhm.
Now, if inflation is 4%, what would be the real wage? %8 minus 4% is what?
4.
4%. Will the real raise be higher, lower, or the same as today?
Same.
Why do you say that?
I don't know. Mr. Guy, I don't know. Well, because it says it's 4. Oh, wait, never mind. I'm stupid.
It's 5%.
5%. So it's
So I told you what the wage was.
yes.
I told you the wage was 5,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
But then when we calculated at the end of the year, what did it actually become? 4%. Did it not?
It did.
So is that higher or low? Is 4% higher or lower than 5%?
That's lower.
That's correct. That's your answer. The real wage would be lower than today by 1%. That's why I said put in a number if you can't figure it out and can't figure what you're doing. So you kind of like try to look at that and see where you're at. So in this case, the real wage would be lower than in the future than it is today. Do you understand?
Yes.
I don't think so. Do you understand, Abby?
Kind of.
Can you go over it one more time?
Say the normal wage rate this year is 5%. I give everybody 5% raises.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm assuming that next year's wages are going to be higher because of inflation. So the wage rate will be 3% higher. So 5 plus 3 is what?
8.
8%.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I'm going to be paying people next year. The nominal wage rate will be 8%.
Mm-hmm.
The actual inflation rate is 4%. So at the beginning of next year, will the real wage be higher, lower, the same as it is today?
Lower.
Yeah.
So you take the 8%, adjusted for inflation of 4, and then your new real wage is 4%.
So it'd be lower.
So 4% is 1% less than the 5 that we started with at the beginning. Because we started at 5% as a real wage. Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
That's why I kind of wanted to use a number just to put it in there. You can use any number that you want to. Sarah gets a fixed rate loan from the bank when the expected inflation rate is 3%. If the actual inflation rate turns out to 4%, who benefits from this inflation?
Sarah.
Sarah does. She
Mhm.
gets the loan. The bank definitely gets hurt. Now, why does Sarah benefit? She's paying back the loan with cheaper and cheaper dollars than she gets today. Whenever you get a loan, the money you get today is worth more than the money that you pay later. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mr. Guy, are you having fun with this?
Of course.
Econ is our favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Now, indicate whether each of the following is counted in GDP for the year 2006. Explain each of your answers.
That one's no,
The first one's no.
And why not?
because it's used.
Resold.
It's a used book.
Yeah.
Okay? Rent paid in 2006, an apartment building paid in 2000.
That
Yeah.
counts, right?
Yep, that counts. How about commissions?
No.
Commissions earned by a stockbroker.
Yes. No. I feel like it's no.
I think no, but I might be wrong.
What is not included in GDP?
Used stuff.
Correct? What
Under
else?
the table things. I feel like I remember something with stocks not being,
Yeah.
but I could definitely have remembered that wrong.
So stocks are not included.
Oh, is this stocks?
These are not stocks. What are they?
Oh, it's the money he's making.
The money the stockbrokers
Oh,
make.
okay, yes,
Commission.
then it counts.
That counts. That is income.
Yes.
How about the value of an automobile produced in 2006 entirely in South Korea by a firm owned by the United States citizens?
No.
Yes.
That is no.
Oh.
Okay, because if it has to be built in the US for GDP. That is part of GNP, gross national product, but not GDP because it wasn't built in the US borders. Okay, now this is the problem that we did in class.
This thing.
This thing is that what we did, okay? So tell me, how do you get nominal GDP?
You multiply them and add them up.
Correct. So 10 times 4 is 40, 10 times 5 is 50, 15 times 6 is 90, 20 times 8 is what? 160, 25 times 4 is 100. So that's nominal for each year.
Yeah.
Now I said make year 3 the base year. So what do you do to get real GDP?
You use the price from year 3.
Correct.
Or the, yeah.
Correct. So every price, every year will be 6.
Mm-hmm.
So 10 times 6, 10 times 6, 15 times 6, 20 times 6, 25 times 6. That is all real GDP.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Now it says the GDP deflator. So basic, and it really the base year is 3, so I didn't change that. But basically what you're going to do on this is you're going to take nominal over real times 100.
And you just
So-
keep doing
I
that.
remember that.
So
Yeah.
nominal over real, nominal over real times 100, you're going to get some number here. So, you know, now the inflation rate, you're basically going to be looking at, you've got these CPIs here, and then you're basically going to subtract and go from year 2 minus year 1 divided by year 1 times 100. Okay? And that's all you're going to be doing, is that you're going to be getting these numbers. This might be 100, 125, 150, 175, 100, 200 or something like that. You take 125 minus 100 over 100 times 100. Then you just do it all the way around.
Right.
Remember doing this.
This was the one thing I think I actually understood.
Go, Lauren.
Okay.
Yay.
If you need to practice, we can practice. If you need me to put in examples, we can, but it's something you guys wanted to review and kind of look at. Now, this is the formula here. Nominal over real times 100. And then nominal equals the deflator times 100 times real divided by 100. So in that problem that we were, doing, we were looking for real GDP. So you kind of have to figure out, well, this is real GDP. It's under the lowest. We knew this was 150. We knew this was 6,000. We didn't know this. So, basically you multiply it out, divide by 100, and then you get that $4,000. Okay? So, do you remember doing these?
I think I blocked this out of my head.
I remember doing.
Isn't that just like plugging things into the formulas and like finding what was
What we
blank?
just did, correct.
Okay.
So like on this one, it says calculate the deflator. You can take 100 over 150, and then you're going to divide it by, you're going to take 100 divided by 150 times 100, and that gives you your 66.67. So you got that. Okay? Oh, I'm sorry, on this one, I did the wrong numbers backwards. 150 divided by 100 times 100. So this is 150 is the deflator. Now, number 2, the bottom number is 125. The top is 150. What's the deflator? So you do 150 divided by 125. It gets to 1.2 times 100, and that comes to 120. So this one comes to 120. Now you've got real GDP. The bottom is 200, so you know what that is. The deflator is 120. You need to calculate the top number. So this one, you basically take 200 times 120. That's 24,000 divided by 100, and that gives you 240. I'm not sure if it's correct. So what do I do? So what I would have to do is take the 240 divided by what the real is, 200, times 100, and it comes out to 120, and that's what our answer is. So I always check my work because I'm not good at math either. I always look to see, is it the right number? And then the next one is nominal GDP is 60 billion. The deflator is 120. We have to calculate real. So how would we do this? So in this one, take 60 times 100, divide it by 120, and that gets us our $50, 50 billion. So
Okay.
nominal is 60 divided by 50 gives us 120 or $1.20 times 100. So play around with these calculations, play around with these numbers and use this. And just play with it and see if you can get it. Just make up your own numbers if you need to. Just try to see if you feel comfortable in finding these numbers. Okay? So this last one is 50. This one is 240. So make sure you know what these numbers are, and then you can play with it and check and make sure you get the same one. So, number of people employed is 152 million. Number of people unemployed is 11 million. Number of adults is 223 million. US population, 333 million. Number of retired people, 63 million. What is the unemployment rate? So how do we get that?
Don't you have to take the number of?
Is
I don't know.
wait, what do you want to find? Unemployment or employment?
Unemployment rate.
So number of
What is the labor force?
that is adults that aren't retired.
Nope. What's
No.
the labor force?
It's not just working people.
Oh, is it employed adults?
Nope. You're
Oh.
close though.
Employed US population.
The labor force is the number employed and unemployed.
Oh.
So it's added together. So the labor force in this case is 163 million.
Okay.
What is the unemployment rate? 11 million divided by 163 million comes out to 6.7%.
Okay. That's bad.
That is. Now,
Yeah,
what
you
is the labor force participation rate?
Isn't it out of the US population?
Labor force participation rate. So what is the top number, the labor force? So how much is that?
150.
Employed? 160. No,
163 million, correct.
163.
Okay. Which number do we want? The US population or the adult population?
Adult.
US.
U.S.
Why do you want US?
Because that's like out of everyone there.
That counts your babies. Are your babies in your unemployment rate?
Well, I guess.
Yes.
Nice try,
Bring back
Lauren. I
child
know
labor.
you hire them at
Good job.
McDonald's, but no.
Yeah, Mr. Guy, we're bringing back child labor.
We want the adult population. So it's going to be 163 million divided by 223 million. In this case, it's 73%. Now, typically, it's about 62, 65%, but I just played with these numbers. So it's the labor force divided by the adult population.
So it's people that are neither employed or unemployed. Is that
What do you mean?
like the
The
20?
labor force is the number of people that are working and looking for work, and it's the unemployed plus the employed. That's the labor force.
Yeah.
The number of adults is who you grab from to be in the labor force. We don't want child labor. And typically, in our case, it's anybody 16 years or older looking. So, but we're not looking at 15, 14, 13, and 12. We're not looking at them. We only want the people that could be in the workforce. And remember, they have to be looking for work in the last 4 weeks. Otherwise, they're not in there.
So the 27% is just like people who don't do anything.
What 27% are you talking about?
Well, if it was the rate was 73% of people that
Then
are
that 27% would be maybe retired, disabled, sick. They gave up. They're not working. They're not looking anymore. So one of the questions could be, is this number too low?
yeah,
you know,
because there's people who gave up.
And you'd have to say, well, it depends on how many retirees are there? How many people are going into school and doing that kind of stuff? So the labor force participation rate can be low because, people are boomers and retired. People are disabled. So we have to know more information. We can't force, retired people to work. We can't force people that are disabled and not able to work and those kind of things.
Because they have equal opportunities.
Or you just can't do it. Now, if I said the unemployment rate is 6.7%, is that good or bad?
Bad.
Say
Why?
bad.
Because that's above the natural rate of unemployment,
That's
and
correct.
you don't want
That is correct.
higher.
So that's higher than it should be. Okay? All right. Calculate the inflation rate. Now, this is the kind of one, remember, it's still that same silly formula. So if I was trying to find 2019 and compare it with 2017, I would take 159 minus 150 divided by 150 times 100. So I would take 159 minus 150, and that gives me 9, divided by 150, it gives me 0.06 times 100, and the inflation rate is 6%. And then the same thing is, say, if I wanted to do this number, 2018 and 2014. So I'm going to take 155, that's year 2, minus 127, that's 28, divided by 127, it comes to 0.22 times 100, that's 22%. That's how you use the CPIs to get inflation. Now, you might get this on the AP test, because this is typically what they do. What's the inflation rate between 2016 and 2010?
So you take
42%.
Thank you. That's all you need to do. What's the inflation rate between 2015 and 2010?
Bruh.
36.
There you go. So you don't have to do the calculations. You know what that is, okay?
Amazing.
I'm gonna nail
Oh
that
no.
test if this is gonna
Okay.
be.
Oh,
This
no.
is what we're doing on Monday, okay?
Hey.
Does anybody have any questions on our calculations?
No.
Do you want to go through more? I mean, this is kind of like what I found for this unit in the types of problems that we might have. Now, I like this one because it goes over how to calculate it. It goes over, is it a good or a shortcoming? What information do you need? This is a good kind of review on the different terms. This is calculation from AP test, so that's a really good one. I like this one. Any questions that you guys have for these?
I think for now I'm good, but
I
thank
don't think my brain can take any more today.
you.
Okay, that's fair enough. Do you guys need anything else from me today?
No, just have a good day, Mr. Guy.
I will record. It's already been recorded, so I'll post this on there. Yesterday's is on the review sheet. It's also on YouTube, so I'll post this up, and you'll be good. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Guy. I'm gonna go
Thank you.
watch the video now.
Okay.
Comment.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.